Alright everybody, here we go. So the first video, I'm discussing all the mechanics. I'm not going to discuss any specific mechanic, I just want to cover what I've experienced in the game and what I think is the easiest for blind players to accomplish. Now, what I've experienced has been the campaign, which I beat. I had to get access to the season, or to true access to the season like I wanted, and the end game content, stuff like that. So, campaign, pretty good, doable for most blind players. I think almost everyone in this Sightless Slayers clan on Discord has done it. There's a couple new people who are joining recently who are working on it, but I think almost everybody has completed it or is near enough to completion, so that's pretty cool. The next thing was Whispers, and Whispers are essentially bounties, just like Diablo 3. It's just that now they're accessible. Now the map will tell you, trying to get comfortable, the map will tell you when where Whisper is, what you have to do, how many rewards you get, blah, 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 blah. So that's pretty cool. Um, then next we have Nightmare Dungeons, and regular dungeons can be tied to this. Regular dungeons, Nightmare Dungeon. This is by far the big thing where a lot of people either struggle with or find it easy. I don't really see a middle ground, at least from what I've noticed. For me, it's really easy to do dungeons, partially because I have the patience from years of playing Diablo 3 without nav assist or anything. So like I don't care for nav assist. But at the same time, I understand people can struggle because it's just the tricky part for me, at least in my opinion, is the objective indicators are not consistent, meaning they're a radius around you or even the fog of war of the map. So from the start, let's say you open a dungeon, right? You cannot see the map, or the map, can't see the objective indicator on the map, even with the TTS reading it. Just because the objective hasn't popped up because you're not close enough to it, or the fog isn't lifted from the map, so it results in inconsistency. But as long as you understand the basic gist of a tile set, you're pretty much okay. I mean, logic dictates, right? You enter from the northeast corner of the map. Somewhere in the southwest, southeast, or northwest, you're going to be the next area, right? Um, but yeah, so generally speaking, I know some people struggle. I think dungeons and nightmare dungeons are like they're like the 50-50. Either you can handle it or you can't, and it's hard for you. It's just as simple as that, right? I think whispers are the easiest mechanic to understand and deal with as a blind player, and then complete. Um, Campaign, kind of hard sometimes. Depends on where you're at and your build and everything. But for the most part, I think almost everybody can complete it, especially on the base difficulty. So the other mechanics are Helltide and the Field of Hatred, and you have like the random world events and things like that. So world bosses too. So we have random world events. These are also very easy. I put them along the same lines of whispers, like random events and whispers are like the easiest content in the game to deal with as a blind player, in my opinion. Um, it's very self-explanatory. Destroy this thing, survive this thing, stuff like that. So it's pretty easy, and plus the reward's not half bad usually. Usually you get a decent sized chest, some salvageable materials, stuff like that. So random events and whispers, easiest categories in my opinion. Next we have world bosses, and the world boss, I'll say it right now, it is thematically, it is extremely cool to participate in a fight like that. Here's the problem: I'm a barb, so I can't really do anything. At least when I fought a Shava, they were like gone, and I was like trying to chase them down the whole time. So like I was struggling. But it thematically is really cool. I can't. I don't know of any other blind players who've like successfully like participated efficiently. Um, but yeah, if you have, let me know. Because that one I feel like is just a thematic thing. Like it's hard to conceivably keep up with everybody else because their builds or whatever they're doing. And plus they can see to follow the big boss easier, right? Because when you fight a boss, the audio shifts because you have to take into the scale of the world boss. So it's like kind of tricky to keep up. So what's next? We have Helltides, PvP zones. Oh, okay. Strongholds. Let's talk about renown and strongholds and side quests and stuff like that. So the renown system itself is not a hard thing to deal with as a blind person. The screen reader does read your renown goals and what you're at. However, what is the tricky part is some of the strongholds have either tricky navigation, like a lot of trying to remember. Okay, I went this way to hit this circle to jump point, or traverse this. Like there's some tricky navigation for some of the strongholds, and some of the mechanics are just a pain to deal with if you can't see them. Like myself and Blind Believer, Brendan, Brandon, we were dealing with the core dragon, like the vampire stronghold in the northern part of Fracture Peaks, and oh boy, we struggled a while. Um, but at the end of the day, I mean, we got some help with his mom and other people. But yeah, so like, thematically, I love the strongholds. I like the idea of like each place is unique and they have unique like backstory and stuff. It's really cool, and the fights are usually pretty intense. They have to be their high levels and stuff, but it is really cool. I think strongholds are probably one of my favorite activities to do. Sucks them out of them, but it'd be kind of cool if you could do like nightmare strongholds, almost like a nightmare dungeon, because then those would that'd be fun, honestly. Really spice up the gameplay, honestly. Strongholds, I think, if I'm coming at it from another blind player's perspective, they're probably hard. Um, Simply because it's like navigating a dungeon, but with more stuff to take into consideration. So I'd put strongholds as like harder than dungeons or nightmare dungeons. So yeah, and then Helltide PvP. So PvP zone, the Field of Hatred, is actually really cool. Thematically, like everything is red and blood and whatever. And like some of the side quest stuff and some of the whisper rewards you get, and they're pretty nice, pretty chunky. Like 5 grim favors for being a big boy abomination thing. That was pretty fun to figure out. I didn't know that was supposed to be like a boss or whatever. It was pretty fun though to fight. Yeah, so I'll say the Field of Hatred is like thematically cool, but I don't see myself ever going back there. And as far as like a blind player interacting with the mechanic, it's pretty simple. You kill things in the zone, pick up the seed, and take it to a altar, and the altar will cleanse the seeds. You take the seeds and turn them in for mostly cosmetic stuff, which I don't care about. Obviously, I can't see them, and so the other main spending for your seeds is gambling with seeds. Pretty much. So it's just gambling, just with a different currency. So uh, it's really that one is mostly subjective. That one's mostly up to your opinion of do you care about your cosmetics. For me, I'm not too picky. Just I can't see them to appreciate them. And there's like no real like description of like, oh, this is what this piece looks like. So like I don't get it. So there's an email. Yeah, so Field of Hatred I think is actually really easy. It's no different. It like mechanically is no different than like a world event or whatever. Like it's the same open world area. It's just slightly different because this is a PvP zone, right? So it's not too different. So I'd put it. I'd probably throw it next to maybe like a tiny bit more difficult than random world events and whispers, just because some of the mobs in there are a little tricky. And then Helltides. Helltides is probably the one that I had the most fun with, but it also was a pain just because of how much crap's going on. I didn't realize I was like eating the microphone. Whoops, sorry. There's so much happening at Helltides events that, auditorily speaking, I was a little overwhelmed at some points because there's so many mobs. At least when I was in the Temple of Rot Helltide zone, it was absurd. There's no way to determine how many cinders you have aside from optical character recognition or OCR, which, in my opinion, I don't think you really need to care, right? Because as long as you find the chest or have a buddy help you find the chest, and you guys just chill by the chest and just keep, occasionally pressing X on the chest or interact with it, you'll eventually get enough to open one chest. I don't know about multiple chests, but you can at least get one. Just because I think the hard part would be navigating to a chest in the middle of dealing with a billion things happening, all the mobs and everything. So, excuse me. I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, Helltide I don't think is hard. It's just that it's a very different experience than a Nightmare Dungeon or a regular dungeon or anything else, right? Because you constantly have things spawning. You're constantly having to pick up things to turn them in, your cinders, and so it is definitely interesting. I don't think I'd put it harder than a dungeon. I think if anything, if I'm gonna rate the mechanics as far as the easiest to hardest, it'd be easiest would probably be whispers and random world events because those are pretty easy to get to and do. Except the one that is a pain for whispers is like find the corpse. Those ones I hate. I don't do those ones. And then the campaign is pretty easy, at least in hindsight. It was easy. Maybe during the time I probably was frustrated, but it was a while ago, so I don't remember. Next, I'd probably put. I think after that, I'd put Field of Hatred and Helltide in one, or maybe Field of Hatred then Helltide. And then after Helltide difficulty would probably put Dungeon/Nightmare Dungeon, mostly because of the objective inconsistency and making it tricky to navigate. And then after that, I'd probably put Stronghold. Um, or no, sorry, I put World Boss after that, and then Stronghold. I think I covered every mechanic I can think of right now. Like I said, I'll in another video I'll see about like recording gameplay and commentary over each of these events and activities to, you know, hopefully help other blind people understand how to better utilize these and deal with these. Eventually I want to get into like covering stats and builds and stuff like that. So hope you guys enjoyed this first my thoughts on all the mechanics as far as I can remember. Maybe I missed one or two. If so, I'll put them in a comment down below. But again, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.